Good afternoon. Welcome to this week's colloquium. Today we have a speaker who is from diverse background than the ones we usually have in PRL. He's Professor Praveen Nahar, Director of National Institute of Design background. And our effort has always been to learn from various quarters of experiences and fields of different types of research. So this is in this background, on behalf of PRL, I would like to first welcome Professor Nahar for kindly taking time off to speak to us in this forum. And to introduce the speaker formally, I will now request Professor R.D. Deshpande, Chairman of Geosciences Division, and also Chair of the Policy Planning and Execution Group of PRL, to kindly introduce the speaker, conduct proceedings. Professor Deshpande.
Thank you very much, Professor Pallam Raju. Good afternoon, Professor Naharji, and good afternoon, everyone who is listening to this colloquium online. Good afternoon. Today we have with us very illustrious personality. I mean, we have had talks by engineers and scientists, but today I am going to add one more salutation, which is exclusively applicable to Professor Praveen Nahar, and that is a designer. So I would say that today we have with us one of the highly illustrious speaker who is an engineer, a scientist, a researcher, designer, and academician with us to deliver today's colloquium. I'll take a few minutes in introduction of Professor Praveen Nahar. Although NID is a well-known institution in the country and abroad, and many of you might have heard his name in Times of India or any other news channel or such articles dealing with the design. But for the sake of completeness and for everyone's benefit, I would formally introduce. Professor Praveen Nahar is the director of the National Institute of Design, NID Ahmedabad, with its extension campuses in Gandhinagar and Bengaluru. And he manages both the Gandhinagar and Bengaluru campus as well. He's also a faculty member in the product design discipline. He is essentially a graduate from IIT Delhi with production engineering and industrial design. And thereafter, he also did his further education in sustainable design as a postgraduate studies in Delft University of Technology in Netherlands. And now he has over 25 years of experience in design, teaching, consultancy, and research. Actually, not teaching, design teaching, not design and teaching, but design teaching and consultancy and research. So his range of academic and professional interests include systems thinking and design, design thinking, sustainable design, green design, design in the public domain, social design, appropriate technology and strategic design, to name a few. Professor Nahar has been involved in various research and consultancy projects at both the micro and strategic levels in various domains of the industrial and social sectors. He has been actively involved with academic projects with students concerning systems thinking and design. And today's title, as you all know, is also design thinking and innovation. So this involves projects with complex issues and problems ranging from healthcare to mobility. He has traveled widely and presented his views in various forums and conferences as the keynote planetary speaker, and conducted design workshops and seminars in the areas of systems oriented design, sustainability, and design thinking overseas. Professor Nahar has been the key contributor, has served as the jury member of national and international competitions, and has also been part of scientific committees of conferences, academic and advisory boards of institutions. So dear colleagues from PRL, all of us have designed something in the laboratory, sometimes together. So, but the concept of design which Professor Praveen Nahar is going to give today would be very different, I'm sure. And we all will enjoy. So Professor Nahar, we look forward to listening to your talk. And on behalf of everyone who is listening, I warmly invite you to deliver your talk. Professor Nahar, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Deshpande and Dr. Zubirullah for the invitation and nice introduction. It's my pleasure to be talking to the esteemed scientific community of the same city as I am in last 20 years, almost 20 years. Uh, and I think PRL is a very, very eminent institution and very well known. And it's my honor to be among all of you. It's very unusual topic, as I understand. For you being part of a lot of fundamental research and the scientific experiments and its applications. But I would try to, bring some frameworks and ideas, how we look at design, from the NID's perspective, from how what are the expanded boundaries of design and how it is, moving on into the various fields. Also, how we see it in my own discipline, which I can share some of the case studies and ideas from NID and from the disciplines, and also, I will also give some ideas and thoughts on, how different fields like sciences can actually closely work with design and what are the commonalities and how we sort of, possibly, explore potential for working together. So with this, I will like to share my screen. So is that visible?
Yeah, it is visible. We can see it.
Yeah.
We can see it.
So as I think what many of you will know who are in Ahmedabad, I can just give you a very little brief about NID. Was also similar to PRL. Was a part of post independence national institution initiative. It was set up by Department of Policy and Internal Trade of Ministry of Commerce and Industries. And our dear families from Ahmedabad, Sarabhai family was very much involved in bringing NID to Ahmedabad and setting it up in the beautiful campus next to Sabarmati River near Sardar Bridge. So over the years, I mean, NID has been globally recognized. It has achieved many global benchmarks, very rooted to local context. A lot of socially relevant work has happened here. We have worked tirelessly in national identity building, in industrial and social sector. If you look at these symbols on the left side, very familiar symbols. I think many of the national identities have been designed in India. There are hundreds of them. If you come and see it here, we have a very interactive and experiential teaching learning environment. There is a lot of hands-on work and creative excitement floating around the campus any given time, day or night. We have been in education. We do a lot of design practice. We done a design office from the campus through which we provide design consulting services and many outreach services for both social sector, both in industrial sector. Government is our big client. We do research and we do a lot of promotion also of this field. There are 19 sector-specific postgraduate programs we have, which cut across four major domains of five major domains of industrial design, communication design, textile apparel, lifestyle accessory design, IT integrated design, and faculty of interdisciplinary design studies. And there are many more in every of this kind of program. We have 4 or 5 disciplines which cut across 3 campuses, and there are about 1,600 students across 3 campuses, and we sort of have design business incubators around the campus. We work with many ministries in many schemes across the country, as you can see in those maps. We have about 100 international collaborations where we do very active exchange programs and collaborations with many universities and organizations around the world, as you can see. So this is just a glimpse of how the disciplines looks like. Many of you may like to go to our website and see. So we offer both undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD programs in 5 different domains um, and uh, and different disciplines under each of those domains. I can give you some glimpse of at least 4 or 5 disciplines. So this is the discipline where I come from, which is concerned primarily with the relationship between products, systems, and those who use them. So this actually includes user-centric approach and processes. It is very generic and broad-based program where we look at very simple products to technically complex projects to also system-oriented approaches. We also look at a lot of design and innovation for the future. We build a lot of future scenarios and speculations. We look at a lot of scalability, inclusive design, and design which can make social impact or which are sustainable. So there are a variety of ideas and projects we develop in this. There are specific disciplines, which are like transportation design, which is looking at mobility needs of the of the country, and we also look at from variety of perspectives, which is integration of sustainability, materials, technology, empathy, culture. So whether it is designing vehicles for the Mars, designing concepts for the future, to designing bicycles in bamboo or designing any future vehicles like there's an electric bike or something like that. Is a part of, and also looking at how people are going to commute in future. All kinds of ideas are developed in this kind of thing. There are disciplines like new media, interaction design, which is again looking at all kinds of integration of technology into the life, and from historical, socio-cultural, political, economic, environmental, philosophical, and moral concerns of our time. We sort of develop ideas which shows different possibilities. There are projects which are which does quite kind of a management, which brings in management frameworks where we look at how innovation and creativity processes are managed within the organizations, and and work in different levels. And they also look at policy, leadership, service design, all those kind of things with this program. There are disciplines like interaction design, where all kinds of the user paradigms and the artistic paradigms were brought together in the digital products and services, and which is very, very user centric, participatory and multimodal, and all kinds of interfaces and ideas, both tangible and screen based, are being designed under this program. There are programs like information design. I mean, today I think there is a big data and a lot of information which is to be processed, and you have to make sense out of those. So how do you convert complex information into simple visualizations and narratives, which can be used to common masses, and so I would come to so many disciplines you can actually look at and visit our website and see how each of these disciplines are doing. You can see a lot of work of examples of work which can see. So if I would say, what is design? So it is inherently the DNA of any intended creation. Whatever has been created, there is a DNA, of that creation has the element of design. It's an empathy required to change people's lives, in small ways or big. It's just about making objects, system of services, not only to look good, but also make sense. Whether it is required or not. We also question that. It's all about making things easy and sensible for all. So in design, actually, there are no, it is a problem solving discipline, but there is no single but many solutions. So there are all kinds of opportunities we seek. There are many affordances, and we embrace chaos and ambiguity and complexity as it comes, and we look at from a very, very creative perspective. And of course, looking at things from very different perspective, from out of the box and out of comfort zone thinking, which fosters creativity, is being looked at from design. So it can be looked at from all scales. So for example, all levels of production, large, small, medium, very, very, craft oriented, so objects, messages, services, environments and strategies. It encompasses everything from safety pin to skyway systems, from a very simple letter form or a logo type to a big strategy of communication. So it can have any scale, as it can. From NID perspectives, of course, design problem for the industry, commerce, and social sectors, and we also look at the opportunities where there is nothing exists. So it may be, if you look at in action, it may be a day-to-day life equipments or aids which actually improves our quality of life. The example on the top right is a kitchen tong. Which the way it is designed is actually so that you don't get the burns on your hand due to the steam and the heat coming out of the vessels. On the left bottom, there is a gas stove which can be folded and put vertical. It is easy to clean and can be easy to manage in a small kitchen spaces. So that the use of that product and efficiency of the space can be optimally utilized. Or a small ad which actually punctures the polythene bag, to make it reusable. It can also, give ideas of, human centricity in terms of this washing machine which can bend so that you can easily, use it from a human perspective. Or you can look at, any motor disability or any special needs you can target through design, from concepts to the ideas to, what, that could be as a product. So in terms of the characteristics, it involves critical and creative thinking, and it develops a very, very holistic understanding of interactivity, complex problem spaces. It's a very iterative process. You can go back and forth, and it involves continuous reflection and continuous learning. Design also involves social construction of knowledge and understanding by bringing multiple perspectives. So you draw from sciences, from from arts, from technology, from variety of fields, and you sort of synthesize it and make a sense out of it. And you can bring multiple perspectives to create a new perspective. It employs disclosure in order to reach the shared understanding of the problem. So many different kinds of multiple perspectives can be shared together. So it actually brings a common platform. So what are the design thinking mindsets, skill sets, and processes? So I am actually talking about how designers think and what mindset, skill sets, and processes required for that kind of a thinking. And possibly one can also draw. Anybody could actually adopt to this kind of ideas of thinking and adopting their own ways of working and doing. So one of the thing is empathy, to be able to go into somebody else's shoe and making a understanding the needs and the person's mindset or behavior and how they feel is a very important aspect mindset of design to be able to be hands-on. So make fast and fail fast and move on. So that is something very much part of design. So you are always very hands-on and accessible and outgoing and doing stuff. Experimentation, so constant experiment. Again, very iterative and also collaborative. So you collaborate with multiple kinds of information, multiple kinds of contexts, situations, people, and which is highly multidisciplinary. It's a human-centric approach to solve problems creatively, and which integrates people, of course, as I said, maybe business to look at the viability, and the technology looking at feasibility. So desirability, viability, and feasibility, sort of when it comes together in a very human-centric way, you can actually this thing. So, so how do you sort of the ability to switch between micro to macro details is very much part of designer skill set. Learning via process of trial and error, ability to generate seemingly unrelated things. So one can relate various kinds of things and try to connect the dots and making a new meaning and sense out of it. Ability to empathize, as I mentioned earlier. Ability to deconstruct scenarios to understand pain points and construct elegant and efficient solutions. So with all these skill sets and mindsets, if you need to understand the design disciplines, from a very discrete, this is the box, Boston box diagram, and with chart plots a high level questions in each quadrant arranged in axis to very abstract versus tangible to a very discrete versus systemic. So if I map different design disciplines, so there are very discrete disciplines like product design, user interface, user experience design, in its tangible form, process design, communication design, very systematic but tangible. But also, how do you design new services, new experiences, new organizations, and new strategies? So there is a lot of creativity and design being used in doing that. So which may be very abstract and also sometimes discrete and sometimes systemic. So there are various nuances of design and various disciplines and the way they're positioned in the shown here. So typically, there is a very interesting double diamond analogy which is being used in design, and I think many fields nowadays are using it. This is a model which is initiated by the British Design Council way back in the 60s, 70s, and I think there are various interpretations of this model. And on the left side, it actually talks about you don't know, and you are questioning what could be, and to the B side, the right side, actually it talks about and what it should be. So you have the answer, and you start with the question, and you move to the answer. And this model help us to work together to achieve real outcomes together. So this double diamond process maps the divergent and convergent stages of design process. So if you look at there is a divergent perspective in the first diamond. So you expand to your research, and you bring in various perspectives, and you synthesize and build insights and themes and opportunities by converging the double diamond, and you reach to some common shared understanding or understanding of brief and new set of questions. And when you reach at this stage in the center of double diamond, you again open it up for ideation. So you build multiple ideas and diverge options, and you explore those options, and you kind of again converge to deliver those options in terms of solutions and products and all together. So it actually gives you a flexibility to iterate. It gives you a flexibility to expand in fail and experiment in all this in this process. So if you look at it in a linear or circular perspective, it is to learn, to research, to synthesize, to imagine, to present, to refine, and prototype and purpose, and again sort of taking into the loop. So there are various levels of design. There is a very nice, it is called Danish design ladder, which has been seen from non-design. It is seen as a styling. It's seen as an innovation process. It is seen as a business strategy. It is seen as a community and organizational transformation and national competitive strategy. So design can go from very tangible to intangible, from a very product oriented to a highly complex societal intervention. So there are various levels and it can be practiced. So to move forward, I can run through few case studies and examples from design which we are talking about, and maybe you will be able to relate. Many of these examples are from common day-to-day life situations, but also from some of the science and technology domains. So I would pose maybe four emerging questions while talking about these case studies. And very often we in design actually we keep on asking questions which can provoke new ideas and new futures. So so one is how do we design for the future to build resilience? That is one of the question. So that many people have the resilience to live in this complex world. How can we humanize our relationship with technology? So with all these emerging technologies and complexity arising us, how do we bring in the element of humanness and building that and with the technology? How can designers use materials so that as to not create a society of waste? So there is a huge, massive consumption has been created as an outcome of design, but design also has a power to reduce that substantially by designing clever end of life scenarios, or designing a closed loop products, or design which actually reduce the waste substantially. So there are all kinds of strategies could be used to do that. Also, how can we design with people? So how can we design with people to empower? So there are all kinds of ideas where a variety of people, fellow citizens to expert groups can be brought together, and you can design a design process which can harness the collective creativity. So you can design a framework which makes everybody design, and everybody makes it a part of process. So I'll just go through a small case study. This is a small case study of design for space. One of our graduation project, graduate group of students who are trying to explore the ideas with space and different scenarios in the space. So it is actually stated. So they started with looking at micro details in ISS, following the daily routine of astronauts on board and activities. They collected a lot of insights, right from station organization to utility products like cups and spoons. So they looked at the life of astronauts, within the ISS, and they wanted to look at how they can enhance the experience. So they come out with a variety of ideas, and in a microgravity situation, what all one can face, and with the harsh alien environments, how do you make conditions more human and livable? So starting with that. So, so this is what I think one of the no, apart from many solutions they come out with, one of the solution which I will show it here. It's a hook which is clamped with the foot, because there's a lot of times the astronauts have to touch to move from various positions, and to carry out any task they have to align themselves to a specific work situation. So station keeping of an individual was a problem. So solution has not improved since inception of space station, and using of rails caused the cellulose in the top side of the feet, which affects astronauts during their time of space, and also 6 to 8 months once they come back on Earth. So it was one of the opportunity which was overlooked, but very important for long duration space mission. So I just run a small video.
From the Indus space capsule. This is mission day 426 from 217, and we are here at the module 3 of the space capsule. So this is the main work module where most of our forms and experiments are set up. The capsule design here provides for the gabriel, which we use as restraint to keep ourselves planted in one place when we are working. The way we manage now is by setting up on the inside of the gabriel to kind of hook on to the rail, and because of which we have developed these bruises on our feet as we work for a prolonged duration of time. So a redesign report has been accordingly sent back to you guys at the base, expecting a follow-up on the same. Logo. East Coast India, Ramanujan from the Indus Space Capsule, mission is 512 from 275. So I'm here at module 3 to replace the grab rails at the main workstation, which we received just a couple of days back. Thanks to Carbon for this new design. So the grab rails in this new design have a groove cut on the underside to kind of accommodate the hook attachment. The hook attachment itself can be strapped on in the ankle area so that it securely attaches to the foot. Let me just give it a try here and see if I can get myself wrong. Yep, here it talks. So the way it works is the hook attachment has a small explosion that slides into the groove through an opening at the center, and once inside this groove, it locks the foot to the rail so that we can maintain our position in space without kind of exerting any force. So this is clearly an improvement over the earlier method of to hold ourselves in place using just our feet. So yep, this was good.
So this was the video demonstrating, showcasing the possible use case of restraint aid, and it was simulated, of course, in the background of So these are the group of students. They have now set up their own studio, and they are also one of the work they would like to do is through a space mission. So this was a graduation project. This is another case study, which is a design of a Mars exploration. So very much, we also take up a lot of studies and studies in visualizing the future, and by speculating different things to come, and drawing from variety of sources and building scenarios, and actually visualizing scenarios to as much fidelity as possible with all kinds of expert advice. So this is a surface exploration vehicle for ISRO in 2040 with a common modular base platform to accommodate mission specific modules and reduce the need for different vehicles for different purposes. So this is a visualization, I think, with the scientists this fellow has done, and he has also come out with variety of options and modules which will be integrated with this. So when you use design thinking and look at the future and draw inspiration from the future, and you also gain insights and see, you can actually visualize and bring this kind of perspectives where one can see the explore the potential and take this forward. Also, I think a lot of designers these days, one of our graduate actually is involved with actually building habitats from the space for the space as a startup where they're actually simulating those conditions and building, ideas, which can be implemented maybe 10, 15, 20 years down the line. Another case study is this is a simple aid, which is affordable and convenient solution for independent transfer of non-ambulatory patients from bed to wheelchair and vice versa without any support required from the legs or any other external manual help. So this is a small attempt, designed, by one of our students, so that you can get transferred from your bed, to the wheelchair and wheelchair to the bed, and you can live your own independent life. And this is the situation many people in the society and many of us in our lifetimes go through. And simple little aids, and creative intervention can actually really make things very, very simple to use. This is again, technology integration, traditional, incorporating traditional sciences to the new technology. And, this is there's a toe ring which is being worn by the women in India. And, the toe ring has been integrated with the new technology so that, there are health related benefits and the information can be captured and monitored through that. So there is a small intervention being done. So this is a future project done for one of the graduation projects, and I think it has also got the Luxus Design Award. There are case studies for special needs. It's a simple product which empowers visually impaired people to identify Indian currency notes. So it's a simple, device, very simply made, which actually gives you dimensions of different currencies, and you can feel and figure it out. So that you're not being cheated in that. Another case study of it's for the Parkinson's disease. And one of the most common symptoms is in this disease is the hand tremors. And because of this, people with Parkinson's tremors have to completely, cease their activity of writing and drawing. So this device actually is a stabilizing pen designed to help in writing and drawing for people with Parkinson's tremors, and which has a small gyroscope, which is based on the gyroscope principle to stabilize and reduce the tremor impacts, and it facilitates more confident and efficient writing or drawing. So it filters only unwanted vibration caused by tremors, keeping the personality and individuality of a person's writing or drawing. So it might have some AI and machine learning embedded into it, so that it actually learns from the persons and the tremors, and it actually modifies its outcome. So simple device based on simple scientific principle and new technology, and for a specific special use. It is a design to facilitate, which is it is a tool to enable maternal and neonatal healthcare research to collect accurate durational data of kangaroo mother care. So it's a device which can be born, by the mothers and by the caregiver. Can flow the information between caregiver and premature baby, and data is collected and transferred for analysis in the back end. So it's a small device. So in the neonatal situation for the premature baby, the children is away from you, and it's very important to get the information in that situation. Recently, I think one of our graduates also worked on a device, for the remote monitoring of the patients in the ICU, with the corona-impacted patients in the ICU, and how doctors and caregivers can actually monitor different data from away from this thing. This is another project. It's called Earth Tattva. So basically, it is an example of circular economy, how the products can reduce mining and use natural resources up to 60%. Of using minimum virgin materials, and which acts as a binder and maximize the recyclability of reused ceramics. So it's a product which is demonstrating recycling and upcycling of products and promoting circular economy. So I can show you a little bit about a process case study, a typical process which is followed to develop a specific medical device. In this case, there's a fetal monitor card. So it's again a student project, done with one of the sponsoring company. So basically, when you start your design process, so there's a fetal monitoring card. So you actually go into a very detailed research in the healthcare system. You map out research and do different data collection from a variety of sources, and whether it is also interview and meet people from from different stakeholders in the healthcare, from doctors, patients. You look at infrastructure, looking at different services, sometimes very related, but sometimes indirectly or directly related. All kinds of information gathering and being used. One is also looks at what is available in the market and analyze the existing products, and draw out different kinds of insights from that product. For example, it is talking about there are too many cables floating around and it is not managed properly. There are issues of hygiene, and there are all kinds of issues which are associated with this particular product, which is being mapped. Then one is also studying what is available in the market. There are about 20, 30 different kinds of things are being this thing, and there is again some scale and framework which has been analyzed, and some insights are being drawn from there. Then there are a lot of case studies on situations of use. So you looks at a specific situation, whether doctors or caregivers, their context and situations. So a lot of observational studies are being done to look at what really the problem is, and those issues are being analyzed and sort of highlighted and mapped and captured. Then based on all insights, there is a product configuration has been developed. So how do you what that product is going to be like, and the overall external configuration is being made. There are different explorations being done in terms of ideas. So we do a lot of exploration through sketches and low fidelity models. So these are exploratory sketches which looks like a real product. These are quick sketches showing different scenarios and issues involved with the product, and different solutions which can address. There are CAD models being developed based on those sketches and shown the configuration in a broader terms. But on the right side, if you also see, these are low fidelity cardboard models for the quick testing. So before you actually build the actual prototype, you try and find out if there are low fidelity processes involved, which can be adopted very easily before finalizing the product. So these are the low fidelity mock-up models being used, and after that there are of course final solutioning and all that is being done. So there are different, again, very small case studies of different services. So as you see that it's a rotary vibratory roller, where on the left side how it used to look like, and on the right side how it is now. And this product has been completely developed for ease of use with the low noise, vibrations, all that improved, profitability in the final scales. Overall international aesthetic look has been given, and and very easy to transport, to lift the entire equipment on the carrier and all that. So these are the interventions done for the industries, typical MSME units through a design clinic scheme. And there's a group of designers, empanel designers, and NID people, and those companies are being roped in for these interventions. These are medical devices. It's a ENT multi-scope is redesigned from the user's perspective. Is it very easy to hold for examining the ear, nose, and throat? And there are electronic controls which are ergonomically placed. So aesthetics, ergonomics, ease of use are being part of this device, and there is a lot of integration, clever integration of different things have been done. So how it is to look like in the before and how it is look like now, you can see. There are companies who are making LED lights. These are designed, and made, adjustable, very efficient cooling and heat sink being, provided. And these are the companies who had very small turnover, and they have actually multiplied their turnovers to 20, about 20 times, by making it low cost and attractive. And I think these lights are being used in many smart lighting projects across the country. These are again in aesthetic integration of operation theater environments for a laser medical equipment for the eye, and how it has been improved in terms of ergonomics, interface, and ease of operation, and how it was looking at earlier, which was a massive contraption of different things, and how it is now, which is more aesthetic and easy to use. This is a defibrillator, which is an interactive smart interface, which is again improved in terms of handling, convenience, operations, and very ergonomic placement of pedals and knobs. So not only aesthetically designed but also ergonomically placed, easy to use interfaces. So we also do a lot of projects where there are a lot of scientific labs actually approach us with scientific innovations which are done within the labs or within defense organizations, and we design and develop marketable products for the new application. So this is a product which is measuring the depth and the bottom hardness, depth under the sea, and this was used, I think, by the defense and for measuring the underwater depth. And now it is a device which is being used for variety of purposes. So the complete transformation of the technology to the new product use has been discovered here. How you can change the scale of impact and experiences of mass transportation systems. These are Mumbai suburban trains, how used to look before and now, and how we integrated and made experiences of travel more pleasurable. We also looked at designed monorails in Mumbai and made them very unique in terms of its appeal and use. How do you build innovation cultures by design? So how do we work with the bigger problems? This is the project where there are the issues of space debris, where 128 million pieces of debris smaller than 1 centimeter. There are, as of January 2019, there are approximately 900,000 pieces, are spreading across the earth. And so this is the project wherein how we can use a structured discussion method to understand the context and problem, and eventually coming to a conclusion in consensus by taking into every stakeholder's perspective. So we kind of connected with multiple stakeholders from sciences. I think people from PRL also contributed, people from ISRO, SAC, and other experts. And through a design thinking processes, we harnessed collective wisdom of creative wisdom of everyone, and kind of propose variety of solutions. So whether we created a lot of triggers which actually help people to respond into idea generation. We conducted variety of workshops with different groups of scientists by using creative methods where everybody is compelled to think and put their ideas forward, which is not the case in a everyday scenario. These are the frameworks and ideas for idea generation being created, and everybody's creativity being harnessed for this. This project also built a lot of awareness through a science center, community science center with children. We also developed a framework for life cycle assessment in space industry, and also visualized national space policy for the new launches and new space startups, and many other future speculative ideas. So this kind of projects can trigger future projects and ideas among the scientific community, and one can multiple stakeholders can come to a common understanding of what can be done. So this kind of thinking process and exploration process can completely be driven by a design thinking and innovation process. So if I would slightly touch upon why is the innovation design thinking could be an imperative for organizations like PRL or any other scientific organization today. So if you look at science, a lot of discourages of science are being converted into technologies, and they are directly put on to users to use. If it is white blocks, if you see, but with the intervention of design, the technology is intervened with design and it is made friendly for the user. This is how I think design was looked at. So you draw from sciences technologies and make them usable for people to use by using design. But now there is a reverse push and pull. So design is being used to identify needs from users. So that is also an act of design, and you sort of generate insights which can feed to the science and technology community, which can develop those ideas, and we can actually design and bring it back to the user. So the entire channel could be completely reversed and made more collaborative and more exploratory and more future oriented. So there is a huge potential for the collaboration in this kind of setting today. And as I said, what design can do, so it can bring highly creative thinking, looking at holistic view of creative solutions, connecting the dots, looking at multiple perspectives and decoding solutions through a creative process. And one can apply this in future forecasting, developing new tools and methodologies. One can develop frameworks, studying trends, develop product service, and very iterative process. So I was going through some of the interesting research being done by various design groups with the scientists, and they try to actually see how both the fields have a common ground. Of course, design and science both are very highly experimental and the collaborative. So one is looking at what is. Science can give you a very specific perspective of what is, and design can build in what it could be, what could be. So one is creating a new knowledge, and other is actually can create a new experience. So it can really complement, sort of each other, and there are a lot of common grounds can be made. In terms of skills, knowledge, thinking, and role, again, there are people who have actually drawn ideas. So one can, from a technical perspective, there are considerable amount of engineering, CAD, sketching, modeling, holding focus groups, simulations, project management. Those kind of can be done through design skills, through creativity, communication, observations, all those kind of things. In terms of knowledge, of course, designers also go through a lot of materials knowledge and drive innovative material development process, the materials manufacturing processes, the fashion styling, graphics, regulation, safety, historical perspectives, and all that. It can draw from a variety of things. In terms of thinking, it can bring a lot of creative, perspectives in terms of lateral thinking, looking at user perspectives. It can be very imaginative and sometimes very artistic, very creative, novel, out of the box, curious, holistic, but also very practical, logical, analytical, and sort of unrealistic at times. When to be able to make your informed decisions. And design can play also roles in terms as an integrator, facilitators, from the end user focus, sometimes commercial focus, and to develop a new inspiration. So, so how it can contribute to scientific research in terms of not only visualizing, envisioning ideas and end use applications, and also prototyping and quick testing of ideas. Sometimes challenging perceptions of sciences and their research, and kind of look at these very fuzzy processes. Application of underlying theories, producing artifacts to aid understanding, to simulate ideas, assisting with communication and dissemination of research, and also visualizing scenarios of use, as I said earlier. So there are various grounds in which design can really blend and contribute or work with the scientific research. So if I summarize, design thinking, and how it can actually help organizations to transform itself, design thinking beyond the tangible and very physical aspect of design. There are thinking aspect of design which is very important, and anybody can practice, and from an individual level to the organization level. And so I would say that design thinking is comfortable with change, which is disruptive, provocative by nature, and it promotes new ways of looking at problems, and often through new lenses. So it brings a constantly new way of looking at things, and which challenges your own assumptions all the time. It actually involves a deep understanding of customer needs, user needs, end user needs. So it's always human centric and always focus on understanding the customers, end users needs, and also includes very unarticulated, unmet, and latent needs. So you also kind of look at which has not been written there, but you sort of draw from variety of information, and bring that perspective of unmet and latent needs. It actually helps in describing the unknown in strategic planning process. So design thinking integrates elements of foresight, so an anticipatory imagination to the planning process, so that you can make your decisions. and also open up the future and invites us to explore uncertainties, and sometimes it makes it very tangible. So many the governments around the world also are now using design to look at policies in the future, and looking at how these policies are going to transform the situations 25 years down the line, for example. So you can imagine that future. So parliamentarians and designers working together and looking at the future and drawing the essence, and extrapolating to what can be done in next 5 years. So the design can be used at any situation of creative thinking and strategic planning. So this is very important. Many of us involved in a linear process of thinking, and we kind of reach, and by the time we realize that something has gone wrong, you already sort of crossed considerable amount of time and resources. And so design, because of its iterative approach, it can reduce risk for developing new products or services. And this kind of thinking can actually also reduce not only the risk, but also help us move faster and make decisions for the new ideas. So it can also foster enterprise creativity and create new organizational cultures. So it can not only can bring enterprise creativity and knowledge management to next level, but also helps embrace questioning, celebrating creativity, embracing ambiguity and visual sense making and all those kind of things. So in design, actually, if you come to NID in the studios, everything what we do is very, very visible in terms of your mind maps to experimentation and all that. So variety of people can work together and make informed decision together, and you can connect the dots. And also it actually helps us build the emotional connect the employees can have with the organizations. So it can also bring in very foster a very creative and fresh perspective to organizations. So you can go out of kind of stagnancy. From a business logic perspective, there is a new competitive logic of business strategy. It allows organizations to apply them to create new product experiences, processes, business models beyond simply what, and turns them into something people desire. So it's a truly sustainable competitive advantage through innovation. So it's a very complex and non-linear process, and that can be investigated using design thinking approach. So this is what I needed to submit to this group. And innovation and design thinking can be used by anybody to design their experiments, life, any development process, any businesses, any new enterprise or idea or anything. So it's a very, very expanded field, and can be used. So I hope it made some sense to this group, and possibly there may be some possibilities of collaboration using some of these ideas in your in your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Nahar. That was amazingly informative and enlightening talk. In fact, before listening to your talk, I didn't have this kind of ideas that you have contributed so profoundly to medical field and space science, and so many things like this kangaroo mother care or fetal monitor cart or ENT multiscope or motor disease related, that device you had shown. That is really amazing, that how it benefits society. And also the linkages with space technology and space science is also new to us. Maybe other colleagues were aware, but I was not aware that NID is dealing with the space debris related problem and this Mars vehicle and something to station the astronauts in their seat in ISS. That was a very simple but very amazing thing. So great. We are indeed very happy to have learned so many things from you. So maybe we can now open the floor for questions. There might be some questions. So if there are questions, Dr. Vaishnav, you can please project the questions because we cannot see YouTube link. So if there are questions, please let
Yeah,
us know.
right now there are no questions.
Great.
I have received one question by phone,
Yeah.
and that one of our seniors, PRL alumni, he is asking, can you elaborate on what did you do on the space debris project, and that project, what was the aspect that was carried out?
Well, so we actually see, as I said earlier, that we may not be expert in the specific fields of knowledge or specific fields of science and technology, but what we take is the broader challenge, and we actually see that how design and creativity can help understanding the problem, and you create a sense of participation from the experts, and facilitate through a creative process what can be done about them. So what was done, of course there are many explorations being done and many possibilities are shown by creating a creative process to address this problem, and whatever ideas which has come are further visualized and shared back with the people. So I would say that it was an academic project under the framework of system-oriented design. We do for 10, 12 weeks with the students of various disciplines. So this group of people, who carried out this, with lot of scientists together. So uh, they have come out with, I think, variety of uh, uh, ideas, which I think already talked about, which is I think most of it was to do with uh, how do you harness the creative wisdom of as the scientists together. So their response to such problem. Uh, Looking at life cycle assessment, so there are variety of ideas where which is talking about how the spacecrafts and space debris can be minimized. So looking at end of life scenarios of those debris creation, and how they are produced and all that. There were ideas where they were looking at, they were also looking at variety of uh, you know. People who send their crafts, how they can collaborate on some of these things. So any typical product design problem these days, we look at if you are designing a mobile phone, you are also looking at end of life of that phone and how that phone will be dismantled, disassembled, and some of the parts can be used back into the production of new phones. So there are a lot of these end of life scenarios which are being considered today for normal products, how you can also use it for the spacecrafts. So there are various ideas, frameworks, policy interventions. But I would say that most interesting contribution was the creative process which was developed. So I think, beyond certain level, I think because of the time duration and whatever this thing, we stopped at that level. But definitely projects like this can go a long way if they become become live scientific research process. So we wanted to demonstrate how creativity field like design, creative design can actually help facilitating this kind of area and harness the collective creativity. Does
There
NID?
is one more question: that does NID work on game development and design?
Yes. So we have two programs, which is we call it a toy and game design, which is from our Gandhinagar campus, and we have another program which is called digital game design. So that program is offered from our Bangalore campus. So they actually look at the games, but they also look at novel interfaces, gamification ideas, how through gamification you can, do a future interaction, teaching learning, and how games can be used for a variety of purposes. So definitely, a lot of work is being done by these disciplines and many other disciplines.
I have a question. Um, in your thing, I'm just basically was curious. Basically, when do you get some requirements from businesses on developing something, or you get some idea, you develop something, and go to businesses to market it, or to see what can be done further? How does this work? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so it is done both ways. So we we do both ways. We also identify needs and responding to those needs and propose ideas, but also we work on specific requirements from the clients. So you have different clients approaching us, and we for the design, complete new designs or redesign of the existing products or systems, and we respond to that. Or sometimes we also develop it from scratch and we propose it to what can be done. So when you work in a classroom situation, many students develop a lot of new novel ideas, from simple products to technically complex to new interfaces to new experiences, and they are highly researched and informed, and they sort of can be promoted for the new product development. So we also facilitate incubation of some of the ideas where it can be further developed and prototyped or taken up. In last 10, 12 years, we also worked with MSMEs. Of course, we have been working with industries forever, but I think we developed this scheme called MSME Design Clinic Scheme, where micro, small, and medium enterprises across the country, we did some hundreds of interventions being done for MSMEs and redesigned and newly designed their products and for different sectors actually. So I showed some examples, but there are many examples where those enterprises were completely transformed by design intervention. So it, as you asked, I mean it works from both ways. Either building the new ideas to intervening to the existing ideas actually.
Thank you. There is a question.
So space space of technology in public mind is often cylindrical rockets or proxy satellite payloads. They fail to capture sense of adventure, wonderment. What could be the better design for space iconography? Yeah, it's a very well framed question, and definitely more imagination and speculation and visualization is required in this field. And I think world over now, many space agencies have started hiring designers or started setting up design studios within the setting, or they are taking help from design studios to visualize this future possibilities. And I'm sure, I mean, a lot of these wonders can be captured and in a very well visualizations, and some of that can be used. So I'm sure that it's a very highly complex field, and with massive amount of constraints and sophistication, but still it can be made more pleasurable, appealing, user friendly, um, you know, and all those. So basically, also one of the thing which design can also do is that you create simulations where common public could actually experience some of those ideas actually. So there are projects being done with NASA, I believe, called Open NASA, and I think a lot of the data is being used by engineers, scientists, and designers, and they are developing applications and ideas which so that the common public students can get excited actually. So one could actually trigger completely new set of ideas, and one can drive through design and creativity.
Yeah. If there is no other question on from that side, I would like to ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
Yeah, in one of your slides, you talked about this double diamond analogy. So on the
Yes.
left diamond, you had some compartments, and on the right side, it was blank. I mean, so what happens to those compartments? Does it mean that those aspects they merged and unify? What happens?
So you can actually search this double diamond. See, double diamond analogy is being used in a design process. So I think that particular diagram maybe is picked up from a specific type of a design process, but the left compartment was more for towards research and synthesis, and the right compartment was more of an idea and implementation. So the left compartment was showing more details in terms of how do you decode your brief, and you do your primary and secondary research and build insights, build themes and opportunity areas. So it was showing divergence and convergence in both. So basically, this was dealing with a lot of fuzzy information and a lot of insights and a lot of stakeholders. On the right side, it was this particular diagram is blank, which was involved mainly ideation and development of products, and a lot of those ideas. So this analogy can be interpreted in scientific research. This can be interpreted and customized to any kind of creative development process. So, I mean, you're right. I mean, there could be many compartments on the right side where you can show, how the development and delivery of those ideas can be made. But this was just an analogy, actually. That was not a sacrosanct,
Right. Right. And I have one more question that you commented that there's make fast, fail fast, and move on. So that concept versus the concept in which you spend substantial amount for designing something. So my question is that when you have to spend time, money, and efforts in designing something systematically, so there is a gestation period for everything for those things. So how market forces balance this? I mean, how it is driven, I do not know. So you can correct from that.
Yeah, what I meant is, make fast, fail fast is, design. As I said, it's a very iterative process. So within first germination of idea to delivery of idea, you could actually do a lot of iterations with a quick experimentation. I would call it a low fidelity prototype. So, for example, in that example I showed, you could go and go to a workshop and build a very high fidelity prototype and then go for testing. But I think a lot of things can be done with the low fidelity as simple as cardboards. We use a lot of techniques where many insights of the final product can be drawn from that fuzzy that iterative process. So if you can, master that process of quick, feedback taking within that, and built into your design process, you can actually, keep on taking an informed decision within the process. So, so your overall gestation period for product development can reduce by involving this small, interesting steps in between.
Yeah, Professor Pallam Raju, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Deshpande, for this conducting this session so nicely. And Professor Nahar, your talk had been extremely informative and eye-opening in terms of, because you're catering to wide areas of applications in terms of visibly disabled, in terms of if people have difficulty in movement or vision, or from that matter, for that matter, for the hooks in the space mission, to hold the people from, to help the people to do their work. Various aspects have been touched, and which has been, and it is definitely, it is clearly, it's clear to all of us that it's a highly interdisciplinary field, and the whole purpose of having this interactions here is that, because that we usually have talks of by people who are experts in certain fields in one of the domains of research that's been going on in PRL, and therefore we definitely wanted to have a out of the box thinking, and I'm sure my colleagues and friends are would be taking some of these aspects and thinking about how we can interact, and how we can imbibe some of the aspects or some of the facilities that are there to design things, because we are designing, as I was telling you earlier, we design a lot of instruments, either ground-based or space-borne payloads. So that designing is one aspect, and this is probably we can take a learn a thing or two definitely from this interaction. So I again thank you on behalf of PRL for accepting our invitation and kindly making your taking time and talking to us. And we're sure to think of more ways to interact once the situations become more eased out in terms of COVID. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So thank you so much. It was a pleasure to interact with you and sharing some of the insights and ideas. And hopefully we can take some of the collaborative ideas further, as you said. Things will open up.
Yeah, and thank you once again. And before we end, I would like to take this opportunity to announce the next colloquium by Dr. Bhaskar Mukherjee from the University of Sydney. He's going to talk to us on radiation dosimetry and radiation protection in space missions. So this is going to be the next 3rd February talk. The week after, 11th February, we have our own Professor Subhavati Goswami. She's going to deliver Dr. Vikram, the PRL IAPT. IAPT, as you all know, Indian Association of Physics Teachers. The 3rd PRL IAPT, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai lecture. She's going to deliver on 11th February. So please, tune to our PRL channel and keep visiting us. The title of her lecture is Neutrinos, the Invisible Messengers. So these are the plan for the next couple of weeks. And with this, I thank you all once again for joining us for this colloquium today. And we'll see you again next Wednesday. Thank you all once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye, Professor Nahar.